Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my dad my inheritance even though he says he needs it more? Okay, so I, 28 female, need to know if I'm out of line here because my family is making me feel like the worst person alive right now. Sorry if this is a mess, but I'm just so mad while writing this. For context, my mom passed away when I was 18. She was the best, the only person in my life who ever really cared about me. My dad, 55 male, was around, but honestly, he wasn't great. He cheated on my mom when I was 13, and while she stayed for my sake, I never forgave him. He moved in with his affair partner about a month after the divorce, and she's been his main focus ever since. Anyway, my mom didn't have much, but she left me a small inheritance. Not huge, around $50,000, but it was everything she had. Her will was super clear that it was for me to build my future. She knew how much I wanted to go to art school but couldn't afford it back then. I ended up working my way through school, so I kept the money in savings, planning to use it for a house or a small business someday. Fast forward to now, I'm finally in a stable place. About to start looking at houses with my partner, 29 male, and suddenly my dad pops out of nowhere. He's never really asked me for anything before, or, been around, but now he's saying he needs help. Apparently, his wife got into a debt from gambling, and now they're at risk of losing their house. He says it's temporary and he'll pay me back. But I know that BS. He's never been good with money. And his wife? Let's just say she doesn't exactly scream responsible. I told him no, that this money was for mom and she wanted it for me. He got all defensive, saying she'd want me to help family and that I'm being selfish for hoarding money I don't even need right now. Like, are you kidding me? Now my dad's side of the family is all up in my business, saying I should be the bigger person and help him out in his time of need. My aunt even called me to say that I'm disrespecting his role as my father. What role? The man barely raised me. I feel bad because, yeah, it's a lot of money, and I guess they could lose their house. But at the same time, why is it my responsibility to bail them out when they've done nothing for me? My mom trusted me with this money, and I feel like giving it to him would just be spitting on her memory. Am I the a-hole for saying no? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your mom died and left everything she had to the daughter she loved, not the ex who cheated on her. Forget everything else. Would your mother want you to give everything she ever saved to her ex and the woman he cheated on her with? Ignore them both. Use the money however you choose, and rest easy knowing it's what your beloved mother would have wanted. Yeah, mother would roll over in her grave if Opie gave any money to her father. Not the a-hole. That's your money and no one else's. All of these posts about family and money on this sub are crazy. Does this thing actually happen? Sadly, yes. Family is the worst because they feel entitled. One of the many reasons I'm no contact with my younger sister. Next story. Am I the a-hole for tearing down my half-sister when she asked me why I couldn't have saved my mom's name for her to use for a future daughter? I, 27 female, gave birth to my first child a month ago. My husband and I named her after my late mom, with a favorite name of ours as her middle name. My mom died 10 years ago, and using her name was always something I wanted to do. When my half-sister, 24 female, first heard the name, she got a little pouty and asked why I didn't see if she wanted to use the name instead. She said she had always imagined giving her first daughter my mom's, not her mom's, name. I told her I'd always intended to use my mom's name. My half-sister said my mom was basically the closest person she ever had to a mom, and that she was always so sweet and accepting of her, and that using her name would have been a nice way to show respect and appreciation. She said I didn't need to use it. I said, I'm my mom's daughter, so of course I get to use it. My half-sister replied that we were all family. I emphasized in response that I was my mom's only child. My half-sister said that might be true, but my mom had accepted her into the family as well. This is where I might be the a-hole, because I told her that wasn't true. I said my mom hardly had anything to do with her. I explained that my mom didn't want to take her frustrations out on kids, so she tried to be kind when she couldn't avoid her. But she absolutely didn't love or accept her. I told her to get real if she thought the woman who was cheated on would love and accept the child that came from the affair. I told her she shouldn't be trying to imply she had more of a right to my mom's name than I do when she was nothing to my mom, and her child wouldn't be either. She left in tears. Background: my parents were married and had me. Mom found out dad cheated on her and got his other woman pregnant, so she divorced him. She had primary custody of me. My dad ended up with sole custody of my half-sister. My dad made every effort to stay in my life, but he always brought my half-sister when he came to support me. My mom hated it. She never said that directly to me, but I overheard her talking to my aunt or grandma about how much she despised seeing my half-sister there. She said it was tough when my half-sister would reach out to her, but she didn't want to be mean to her face. My mom also told my dad she didn't want to be active in my half-sister's life. Over the years, my half-sister tried to spend more time with my mom. She would pack to come with me when I was going home to mom, or she'd rush out the door when mom picked me up, trying to hug and talk to her. My mom wasn't warm to her, but my half-sister ignored it. When my mom died, my family and I had a private cremation, and my half-sister was upset she couldn't attend. My dad and I stopped speaking after that because he said I should have ensured my half-sister could be there. He never discouraged her from pining for my mom, even though my mom had told him she didn't want a relationship with her. Since my half-sister ran out crying, she's texted me, saying I was cruel and didn't need to crush her hope that my mom loved her. She said she'd hoped to be wanted by at least one female figure in her life. She also said I never wanted to be with her and dad, and then I didn't want her with me and mom either. Am I the a-hole? Honestly, I blame your father for all of this. Your sister clearly spent her childhood wishing for a mother in her life, and instead of taking responsibility for his failures, your father tried to push the woman he cheated on into being a surrogate mother to his affair baby. I hope when things are calmer, you can encourage your sister to seek therapy to address how much your father's poor parenting messed her up. True, the father's actions and lack of responsibility are at the root of this whole issue. He created a deeply unfair situation for everyone involved, especially his daughters. It's clear why your half-sister might struggle with feelings of rejection and a longing for a maternal figure, especially if her father failed to provide adequate emotional support and guidance. Not the a-hole. Wow, your half-sister is projecting hard. She may have idolized your mom in her head, but that doesn't change the reality of the situation. Your mom didn't want a relationship with her because of the circumstances, and that's not your fault to sugarcoat or fix. Honestly, she put you in an awkward position by even asking to use your mom's name for her hypothetical kid. You have every right to honor your mom however you see fit. She was your mom, period. I bet the dad planted his seed in the half-sister's head that his ex loved her, and it grew into a delusional tree. They both need a major reality check. Exactly. Dad should have found another woman to be a female role model instead of his cheating victim. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share my college savings with my step-siblings because my mom saved it for me? Hi everyone. I'm Sienna, 19 female, and I'm currently a student. Growing up, I lived mostly with my mom after my parents divorced, but I spent weekends and holidays with my dad, his wife, my stepmom, and their 2 kids, 8 female and 6 male. While I love my dad, I've always felt like an outsider in his new family. When I was younger, my mom started a college savings fund for me. She worked so hard to build it up over the years, and it's the reason I've been able to go to college without drowning in debt. My dad didn't contribute much to it. He said he had other expenses, especially with my younger siblings, but I've always been grateful for what my mom did. Last weekend, during a family dinner, my stepmom casually mentioned that my younger siblings are going to need help paying for college someday. Then she turned to me and asked if I'd be willing to share some of my college fund with them since we're all family. I was completely caught off guard. I told her I couldn't because that money is specifically for my education, and my mom worked really hard to save it for me. She got upset and said I was being selfish, arguing that my siblings are young and will need support when they're older. My dad chimed in, saying it would mean a lot to the family if I contributed, even just a small portion. I told them I understood their concern, but that this wasn't something I could do. My stepmom ended the conversation by calling me ungrateful and storming out of the room. Since then, my dad has been distant, and my stepmom barely speaks to me unless it's to throw a passive-aggressive comments my way. Even my mom thinks I should have entertained the conversation at all, but I didn't want to cause a bigger fight. Now I'm wondering if I handled this the wrong way. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share my college fund with my step-siblings? Not the a-hole. That's your college money. You need to use that for your education. At the next conversation, OP should remind both stepmom and dad. Yes, they will need help paying for their college like I do. My mom saved up tooth and nail for me. Neither of you contributed to it. I suggest you start, as a matter of conscientiousness, making contributions to their college funds so they get the help they need. It's not my responsibility to sponsor my siblings. It's your responsibility to sponsor your children. OP, focus on your mom. If your dad and his wife want to be passive-aggressive, spend time at your mom's and avoid them for your peace of mind. You should absolutely not share, because by the looks of it, those two think what belongs to your step-siblings is theirs and what is yours also belongs to your step-siblings. Remove yourself from that complication and cherish your mother. She sounds phenomenal. My mother cared enough to save for her offspring. Dad, I'm sorry that your new wife doesn't care enough about her offspring to save for them. But it was your choice to marry her after you left my mother. Not the a-hole. Is your stepmom smoking crack? Good for you for standing your ground. Your stepmom wants your mom's money? Crazy. OP's mom needs to speak to the stepmom and say, "Which? Save for your own kids' college funds, instead of coming after money I saved for my own child. Stop embarrassing yourself and being entitled." Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to name my baby after my partner's family tradition? Female 27, male 30. I, 27, female, am currently 8 months pregnant with my first child, a baby girl, with my partner Luke, 30, male. We're beyond excited to meet her and have been working on all the preparations, nursery, baby gear, parenting books, you name it. But we've hit a massive wall over one thing, her name. Luke's family has a tradition where every firstborn girl is named Agatha. His great-grandmother, grandmother, and mother all have this name, and apparently it's non-negotiable for his family that we carry it on. To be clear, Agatha is a fine name, but it's just not the vibe I want for our daughter. I've always loved unique, modern names, and I feel like our daughter should have her own identity, not a hand-me-down name that she didn't choose. I've tried compromising. I suggested using Agatha as her middle name or even giving her a modern name with a similar vibe, like Isla or Athena. But Luke and his family are adamant. They've called me selfish, disrespectful, and even said I'm trying to erase their legacy. His mom keeps sending me baby blankets embroidered with Baby Agatha like it's already decided, and his grandmother made a big speech at Thanksgiving about how she's so proud to welcome another Agatha to the family. I've told Luke that while I respect his family's tradition, this is our daughter, and I want us to agree on a name that feels right to both of us. He says I'm overcomplicating this and should just honor the tradition since it's clearly important to them. Here's the kicker. I found out that Luke himself hates his own family name, which was passed down to him through their boy tradition. He goes by his middle name because he thinks Horace, his real first name, is embarrassing. When I brought this up, he said, "Yeah, but that's different." Now I'm getting the silent treatment from his mom, guilt trips from his grandma, and Luke is acting like I'm being unreasonable for standing my ground. My friends are split. Some say I should just give in to avoid family drama, while others agree this is a hill worth dying on. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for refusing to name my baby after my partner's sacred family tradition? Now for the top comments. Definitely not the a-hole. It's your child, not a family heirloom. Traditions are nice, but they shouldn't override what feels right for you as parents. Stick to your guns and choose a name you both love. Thank you. That's exactly how I feel. Traditions are great, but they shouldn't feel like chains. I just want my daughter to have a name that feels special to her, not one chosen out of pressure. Do you now call him Horace? I fully would only use that from now until he drops the name for your child. Not the a-hole. It's reasonable to want a name you both love for your daughter. You've already compromised by offering Agatha as a middle name, but Luke and his family's insistence is unfair. His own discomfort with his name adds inconsistency. It's your child, and both parents should have equal input. Thank you for understanding. Offering it as a middle name felt like a fair compromise to honor their tradition without it defining her identity. It's frustrating that Luke doesn't see the double standard. Refuse to call him anything but Horace until he starts supporting you. The person growing the daughter currently camped out on your bladder. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my boyfriend's sister live with us after she was kicked out by her own parents? My boyfriend, 28 male, and I, 27 female, have been together for 5 years, and we've been living together for the past 2. We're happy and generally get along well. But recently, his younger sister, 21 female, was kicked out of their parents' house after an argument. She didn't have anywhere to go and asked if she could move in with us. I immediately said no. I said no because she's messy, loud, and incredibly entitled. I've had issues with her in the past because she used to come over unannounced, eat our food, and leave a mess in our apartment. On top of that, she's been known to borrow money from family and conveniently forget to pay it back. I tried to explain to my boyfriend that I wasn't comfortable with her living with us, especially since we only have a 1-bedroom apartment. I also work from home, so having her around all the time would disrupt my routine. He argued that it's temporary and that families should help each other out. When I stood my ground, he called me selfish and accused me of not supporting him when his family needed help. His sister also heard about my refusal and started bad-mouthing me to other family members, saying I'm heartless and trying to ruin their bond. Now my boyfriend is upset, and his sister is furious. Should I have accepted for the sake of peace? I feel bad, but I also believe we're entitled to our own space and boundaries. So am I the a-hole for refusing to let her move in? Not the a-hole. Your space and boundaries matter. It's not your job to fix their family drama, especially when it's clear should disrupt your life. Your boyfriend needs to respect that. Your boyfriend's sister has a pattern of bad behavior, and that alone is a valid reason to not want her living with you. It's important to stand firm on boundaries, even if it causes some tension in the family. Your comfort is important too. The boyfriend is also showing a pattern of bad behavior towards his girlfriend. Not the a-hole. There are a number of reasons why staying together won't work. If she can fight with her parents, I'm sure you'll keep having issues every day. She should go and patch things up with her parents. Am I the a-hole for kicking my stepson out after he tried stealing my necklace while I was asleep? My stepson, 19, got kicked out of his mother's house after stealing and selling a very expensive item from her husband. He was going from a friend's house to another till my husband brought him in. I wasn't thrilled to have him in the apartment given his reputation, but he was almost homeless and needed help, so I agreed to let him stay with us till we worked something out with his mom. Truth be told, he's pretty respectful. Helped with chores, washed ours in the neighbors' cars for cash, so I thought he had changed. But something strange started happening. My 3K necklace disappeared once, but I accidentally found it in the bathroom cabinet. Then it disappeared again and I was lucky to find it. But it was somehow hidden under the couch when I found it. I started realizing that my stepson was attempting to steal the necklace, but I kept finding it when he'd hid it. So I decided to wear it to keep it safe. Monday evening, I was napping in my bedroom while my husband was at work. I fell into deep sleep, then suddenly got waken up by feeling someone's fingers on the back of my neck. I found my stepson trying to open my necklace's clasp. I was lying on one side and I turned and saw him. I started panicking and he took some steps back telling me to calm down. I sat up and yelled asking what he was doing and he started stuttering. I figured he was trying to steal the necklace from me. I yelled at him to get out, then called my husband crying. My husband got home and tried to work the situation out by making his son apologize, but I said I won't have him here any longer. I don't feel safe anymore after he tried to snatch my necklace while I was sleeping. And this wasn't even the first time he tried to steal the necklace. My husband said his son had nowhere to go and it'd be cruel to kick him out, but I demanded that he leave. I went to a friend's house, and my husband got back and picked a fight with me about how I'm putting him in a position to choose between his son and me. He kept convincing me to let him return and promised to make him swear he won't do it, but I refused. I'm honestly worried and cannot be sleeping with both eyes closed with a son in the house. Am I justified in my action? Now for the top comments. Not day home. 3 possible scenarios. 1. He's stealing and selling things to pay for a secret habit. 2. Is stealing and hiding your necklace to mess with you and make you feel crazy. 3. He has a touch of kleptomania and if so, needs to get some help. No matter what, he should not be allowed back in your house. He has shown an alarming willingness to steal your things. Right off your neck, no less. I would go with the latter. He ain't acting in a logical way. If he were stealing to finance a secret addiction, he wouldn't risk being this obvious. I would tell the dad to take the kid for a mental evaluation as this is really odd. With kleptomania, would he keep trying to steal the same thing, and always an expensive thing? Because that seemed to have been the issue previously. He stole an expensive item from his step-parent. So I sort of wonder if it's the only expensive thing in the house or the only expensive thing the step-parent owns. But yeah, I agree. It's worth the parents taking the kid for a mental health evaluation, and definitely the kid not living in their home. Not stay home. Not stay home. He is 19 and definitely old enough to know what he is doing. If he gets kicked out, it's on him. There's a reason his own mom doesn't even want him there. He is doing this to himself. I can't imagine the audacity he has to try and steal it while you are sleeping. That is also creepy and I wouldn't feel safe in my own house. Oh, absolutely not stay home. That's really scary how boundaries have already expanded to almost assaulting you in your sleep. You are not safe, your stuff is not safe. This is not a situation to compromise at all. You would have valid reason to kick him out after the first time your necklace went missing. If this kid has a key to your house, look into getting a new lock, and maybe an additional one for your bedroom. Increasing criminal behavior doesn't suddenly stop. Increasing is the key word here. He's touching people in their sleep already. Even if it's just to steal, that is terrifying. But I can't imagine he won't continue escalating if he keeps being enabled. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter to butt out of my personal life and asking her to stay with her mom? So, me, 35 male, and my ex-wife, Holly, 35 female, have a 16-year-old daughter named Shay. Me and Holly started dating when we were 14 and divorced 1.5 years ago. The reason was she felt like she hasn't experienced dating since we got together so young, and she was getting curious but didn't want to step out on me. So I agreed not to hold her back, and we divorced. We immediately got Shay into therapy and she handled the whole thing really well, at first. Well, I started to date. It was weird but kinda exciting. Shay was happy for me and encouraged me to go on dates. Well, everything changed. Me and Holly spent the night together 8 months ago and my daughter found us the next morning. She was giddy, but we explained to her that we weren't getting back together, that we just have a very strong bond and are best friends, but she shouldn't have found out. Ever since, Shay's been a nightmare. I was dating a teacher from her school and she tried to sabotage it. Shay would show up on our dates. We track each other's location. She would constantly bring up her mom in front of the girl I was dating. She was rude to her. Eventually, we split because she didn't want the drama. The past 8 months, Shay had been sending me pictures of her and her mom in workout classes. She keeps telling me about Holly's new fitness. Holly has lost weight and she looks freaking incredible, but I kept telling her that me and her mom are better apart right now. About 4 months ago, Holly calls me. She admitted to drinking a bottle of wine and saying some stuff to Shay. She told her the reason we split up, and that she regretted it and wanted the family back together, and that she was done dating because she hated it. I sat down Shay and explained to her again my stance, that I absolutely love her and her mom, and that there was definitely a possibility of reconciliation down the line, but at this point I was having fun. So I started to see Shay's friend's mom around this time. We kept it from the girls until we thought it was real. Shay freaked out. She cut off her friend, and she sent my girlfriend a lengthy Facebook message that basically said she was wasting her time, that I was in love with my ex. I talked to Shay about how inappropriate that was, and we got her back into therapy. So last week, my girlfriend was trying to get something from my house. I was at home, but Shay was. My girlfriend knocked on the door, but Shay saw who it was and wouldn't open the door. I called her and told her to open it, and she refused. I had to run home from work to let my girlfriend in. I was furious with Shay. I basically told her that she needed to butt out of my personal life, and that maybe it would be best if she stayed at her mom's. We don't have a formal custody agreement for a while, until she could accept that I was dating. She left and I called Holly, but Holly thinks I'm being an a-hole. Am I? You and the ex are both a-holes for doing 10 months of therapy for a one-night stand. Seriously, everyone sucks here and I feel bad for the daughter. This is such a chaotic environment for her. Can you not date someone who has a close proximity to your daughter? You dated a teacher at her school and her friend's mom. Really? You and your wife basically undid everything therapy-wise, but now you're basically butting into your kid's personal life. Your daughter's actions aren't great, but she's confused and her mental health is definitely all over the place. Maybe you need to focus on that and not dating people so close to her own life. You're the a-hole. And teachers. OMG, parents that date teachers are so shameless. You're the a-hole. You are absolutely, without a doubt, 100% the a-hole. So y'all uproot this girl's entire family life. And a year and a half later, she's expected to see you dating and being serious with her friend's mother? And when she has a warranted reaction, you tell her to leave. You're choosing a few months old relationship over your daughter. Absolutely pathetic. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not equally splitting my deceased mother's fabric in quilts I made for my siblings? I'm male 39, am the youngest of 6 children. I was a surprise kid late in my parents' life, and I was a young teen when my mom started to get antsy and want to get out of the house more. She started taking hobby classes. I got dragged along to each and every one. Because of this, I have a wide array of very weird crafting knowledges. Crochet, knitting, basket weaving, quilting, cake decoration, oil painting. While I'm not a master of any of them, I'm fairly competent. After my mother died, I started using her old crafting supplies to make gifts for my siblings out of her things. Everyone got an afghan, scarf, egg basket, etc. It was my way of making sure mom was still there every year. The quilts are where things get a little hinky. I made 3 quilt tops before I ran out of fabric. There wasn't enough to make them all, and I didn't realize it until I was too deep into the project. I ran out and grabbed some fabric. I did my best to get a really broad variety of scraps to keep it from being obvious. I did a few adjustments, split 2 of the existing quilt tops, and added on more using the new scraps. I wanted everyone to have at least some of mom's fabric in their quilt. When I wrapped them, I didn't bother to put names on them. Everyone just grabbed the package and were delighted to have a nice quilt. It was the last of my mother's son crafting projects, and I was glad to be finished with them all. I ended up mentioning to my sister over dinner last week that only one of the quilts was entirely mom's fabric, because I had run out of fabric. She immediately asked me which one, and I said I wasn't sure who had gotten it. I didn't at the time. I'd explained again that there wasn't enough fabric to go around. She starts to get annoyed, wanting to know why I didn't make sure to give the one that was entirely mom's fabric to her, since she was the oldest. You can see where this is going. This snowballed. My sister called my other siblings to solve the mystery, and now siblings are all texting and posting pictures of their quilts, trying to figure out who got the real one and who were fakes. I now know, thanks to all the pictures, exactly which one is made entirely of her fabric, but I'm playing stupid. You can't have that much fabric laying in your lap for months without recognizing it. I've gotten more than a few nasty messages about it from the peanut gallery, and all my siblings' friends seem to think that it's insanely rude that I would pull a trick like this. I realize now that I probably should have just broken down all 3 of the quilt tops to spread things around. But God, it was so miserable rushing for months to get them done, only to have to split 2 of them just to expand them back out again. So, am I the a-hole for not giving my siblings an equal share of mom's fabric in their Christmas quilts? At this point, I feel like I should have just made 3 quilts and explained the problem and let them fight about it. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Honestly, if anyone deserved the one that was 100% her fabric, it is you. You were the one who went to the hobby classes with her. You were the one to make sure everyone got something made from her hobby stuff, and you were the one who made everything. It is messed up that they are so ungrateful. Petty says to take back all the quilts and keep them for yourself. Opie's siblings sound so lame, petty, and ungrateful. This is such a sad thing to obsess and fight over. Each quilt has a piece of their mother's fabric, but sadly no good deed goes unpunished. The sister who started this mess sounds like a selfish busybody, since she was okay with the fabric being spread out but thought she was entitled to the full fabric quilt. At least Opie now knows who not to share her secrets with. 100% ungrateful. Personally, mostly because I'm petty, I would ask for all the quilts back so that I could figure out which one is missing the fabric. Then tell the siblings to swivel. Due to their ungrateful, spoilt reactions, they aren't getting the quilts back. Treat them like the children they are acting like. If you kids can't decide and share, then I'll take them away. Now you don't have to argue. If you want them back, then you have to make me a quilt of the same quality to see how much time and effort I had to put in to make these gifts for you. You're absolutely not the a-hole, but here's your mistake. I ended up mentioning to my sister over dinner last week that only one of the quilts was entirely mom's fabric. Loose lips sink ships. Cliché but true. There was no reason to bring up the fact that only one quilt had all of mom's fabric. No one had noticed, so you shouldn't have said anything. Did you think your sister was going to go, "Oh, cool," and leave it at that? I don't even know your siblings, and I could have told you this was going to get real petty, real fast. No good deed goes unpunished, Opie. But it's not on you to patch this up, though. They'll get over it, eventually. Furthermore, if they want to play the who deserves to get the most of mom's fabric game, isn't it obvious? Hint, none of them. That was definitely my mistake, yeah. The conversation had turned to what my plans were for next Christmas since all of the crafting supplies had been used up. I was going to make and decorate a cake for everyone. Between running low and whatnot, yeah, I shouldn't have said a thing. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole that I won't rent to my nephew? I bought a home when I was out of college. It's a 3-bedroom home, and for the last 20 years, I have rented rooms to young professionals and interns near a tech hub. My nephew Jack is in his 30s and bounced around from job to job. My mother and my sister, his mother, want me to rent it to him at a discount because he wants to move the area. I already have 2 tenants, both around 22, and both are women. Jack has had issues with dating and with women. Reddit would put him as a neckbeard, so I don't want him to rent from me or be around my other tenants. Jack argues about the most ridiculous things. He has a mentality of a 15-year-old boy and would not even fit in with the atmosphere of the house, so I don't want him there. He was also evicted from his last place. And his credit is I told mom and sister this, and they have yelled at me about how his family, and maybe this time he will find a place where he fits in. I put my foot down and said no. I will rent out the vacant room to someone else. My whole family's against me now. I don't want Jack living in my house because I know he's going to be an issue. It's going to be tough for him because he doesn't have a degree, and it's in an area that most jobs there require one. My mom, his grandma, keeps saying I should give him a chance, but in giving him a chance, it may be hard for me to move him out, especially since he's already been through the eviction process once. I don't want him to rent from me or be around my other tenants. Enough reason right there, not the a-hole. An eviction offense? Hold him to the same standards you would for normal tenants. Secure your investments. You know he won't leave without a fight already. Let him continue to live in his mom's basement. Agreed. This is a business decision, so the situation should be looked at from a business standpoint. If Opie's family is so put off, they can buy a house and rent to the nephew at a discount. It really takes some gall to try to dictate to other people what they do with their own property/money. Also, if he is as neck-beardy as Opie claims, then it could be a situation where the other 2 tenants move out to get away from him. So is the family going to step in and make up that loss of income themselves? Doubt it. Opie is totally not the a-hole and in the right. Family can get stuffed. Not the a-hole. Don't mix family and business. Further, even if you did like the dude, if mom and aunt were so keen on him getting a discount, they should pay the difference. But even if they offered, still sounds like a no-go. Cause if he's a neckbeard, he is 1, going to drive away your other tenants, and 2, be a pain in the butt to deal with. Maybe the mom and aunt can rent the whole house from you for him to live in, so he has somewhere to live and you don't lose any income. Not stay home. If they are so concerned, he should live with them. Also, thank you. Looking out for your tenants is especially wholesome, even in the face of family backlash. Question, how the hell is he going to fit into a very young, professional, educated crowd? Doesn't get along with women, while women live there. No. Argues about everything. There are people who are going to know more than him and he is going to argue. No. Is your family loony? They think he hasn't found his place in life yet. Christmas? He was yelling at everyone to invest in crypto and calling people stupid who disagreed with him. I'm not going to run to him after this many anti-A responses. I get tunnel vision with my family, but they are making it look like I'm the crazy one in this. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom to go back to the family she replaced me with? My mom, 42, and I, 22 male, used to be really close. Like she's all I've ever had. And she's the one who taught me to be as strong as I am today. And her becoming a cop inspired my whole life. I love her so much. And I admire how strong she is. And I wish things were like how they were. Her uncle, my great-uncle, managed to bring her to Canada from Kosovo in 1999. If that helps give you guys an idea of the kind of things that she's been through. When I went to university, our relationship started changing. She disliked my girlfriends, my uni choice, wanted me to ferry home every weekend, and then I got a co-op term at a prestigious company in Vancouver. Don't ask, I'm not giving it up. That she did not want me to work for because she had a moral stance against it. I agree with her, but it was a great opportunity. I'm going to graduate at the end of the term, but I'm set for a job within the Vancouver Police Department because of it. But my mom cut me off because of it and straight up told me not to come back. So I had to move in with my great-uncle and a son, my uncle. We started messaging again half a year ago after she sent me a chain message on WhatsApp, but we've been taking it slow. I follow my mom on Instagram, but she rarely posts, and when she does, it's anti-war stuff. But then she put up this post with a caption something like, "So happy to have a real family again, can't wait to go on my new journey." And it showed her boyfriend and her with engagement rings at an ultrasound. Like, I don't know, it just triggered something inside of me. Am I not her real family? Were we nothing? It just made me very angry. Like I'm going to have the sibling and stepfather I always wanted, and she couldn't even be bothered to tell me personally? Well, I decided to wait and see how long it would take her to call me about the news, and she just didn't. Reading break was 2 weeks ago, and at the end of it, my mom came to my great-uncle's house to pick something up. She saw me and tried acting like no time had passed, and how excited she was for my graduation and this and that. She still didn't acknowledge she's getting married. I just told her not to care about my graduation and to go back to the family she replaced me with. Left and stayed gone till she went home. My uncle told me that what I did made her cry and I was an a-hole to her. And my great-uncle told me that I should have handled things with more tact. I feel bad about it because she was reaching out to me, and everything's been frosty with my uncle since then. Now for the comments. Not an a-hole. She wrote the post that insinuated she didn't have a real family, so now the post bit her in the bum. And she kicked him out. Will she do the same to her real family if they disagree with her? To be honest, probably it's like cheaters and narcissists. They don't change. They just find you victims to fool. Not the a-hole OP. It really does seem like she no longer considers you as a family, and you just pointed that out. You have every right to feel bitter. Also consider showing your uncles the post she made. That may help them understand why you acted the way you did. Info, did you show your uncles the IG post? Ask them what were you supposed to think when she wrote, "So happy to have a real family again, can't wait to go on my new journey," and it showed her boyfriend and her with engagement rings at an ultrasound. And she shows up acting like she didn't cut you off or where you work, and nothing ever happened? No, not an a-hole. Edit. In my opinion, if she wants to reconcile, she needs to sit down with you one-on-one and explain why she did what she did. Because there's a good chance she may dump you again, especially if you do something else against her high moral standards. or if her boyfriend doesn't like you, or if she just doesn't have time anymore. Put some consistent effort into this relationship, mom, if you want one. My guess is she wanted him to grow up to be a mama's boy, forever tied to her. Instead, he became an independent adult. Not stay home. She's your mother. The least she could have done was to pick up the phone and tell you about the wedding and the baby. She cut you off for getting a job. Then she acts like nothing's happening and doesn't even bother telling you she's getting married after cutting you off and kicking you out for a job. She hurt you and now you have to suck it up? She can suck up a little. Great uncle seems to understand better than your uncle, since he said you should have been more tactful, not that you shouldn't have said it at all. Not stay home. She needs to understand that the lack of relationship now is her fault, not yours. Next story. Am I the a-hole for losing it on my fiancé for disinviting my stepsisters from our wedding? I'm gonna keep it short. I, female 25, am getting married to my fiancé next month. We've had no issues with the wedding planning except the guest list. Context: I have a large family. I have 2 stepsisters, 18-20, and a biological brother, 27, and also a biological sister, 30. My fiancé argued that the guest list should be cut short and suggested I only invite my immediate family. I asked him to elaborate, and he suggested excluding my stepsisters. I said no and got upset with him for implying that they're not family. He said, well, this wasn't what I meant. I was just speaking from a technical angle, especially since I didn't include them in the wedding party like maid of honor and bridesmaids, so he thought they were unneeded. But I said they were wanted, and will always be wanted and included by me. Well, days ago, my stepsisters called saying my fiancé canceled their invitations and told them some lie about changing wedding location and telling them they won't be able to come. I was fuming. I went home and started screaming at him. He asked that I hear him out, then explained he had no choice since we were required to shorten the list. And he just did my dirty work for me since I obviously was looking at the situation from an emotional angle and couldn't bring myself to disinvite my stepsisters myself. I called him a hypocrite because he invited almost 6 of his friends, who, as far as I know, aren't immediate family. I told him he hurt my stepsisters by going behind my back and excluding them from my wedding, which they've been so excited about. He got up from the couch and yelled that it's our wedding, so my stepsister's feelings aren't really that relevant compared to his, and called me controlling for wanting my way or the highway. He took his phone and stormed out to see his friends. Some of his friends called to scold me for how I'm treating their brother, and then went on about how rude it was to suggest that their brother disinvite them from the wedding just because I don't like them, and called it a you problem. My future mother-in-law called and is wanting to speak to me. He probably told her what's going on, and she is probably going to ask that I apologize for yelling. Please don't marry him, OP. Not to jump on the bandwagon here, but please don't marry him, OP. I am jumping on the bandwagon. Please don't marry him, OP. Not stay home. It sounds like he's the issue here for implying that those you consider to be your immediate family are unneeded. He also then canceled their invitations without asking you how you felt about that, even though you made your stance perfectly clear. Has he cut off any of his immediate relatives, or has he simply decided yours are more expendable? He then called you controlling when he went behind your back to uninvite your immediate family? He sounds like a nightmare. Then his friends started scolding you. That's a lot of red flags. Do any of them have any respect for you? And now is trying to get his mom to ring you to put additional pressure on. There are so many issues here. Do not apologize to any of them. He removed your immediate family without considering your feelings, and is wholly in the wrong for that. But the only way you could be an a-hole is if you marry this guy. Give yourself a better future. Run. Some people worry about starting over, but marrying the wrong person will actually delay your life more. Think, OP. The divorce process takes a long time. I hate when Redditors jump to encourage one moving on from their spouse, but I have to agree in this case. Not stay whole, OP, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Not stay home. Wow. Just wow. Girl, run. Do not marry this man. He doesn't even grasp the basics of family. Is this the kind of father you want for your kids? And his friends calling to berate you? The friends he surrounded himself with also don't seem to understand family. How dare he include them? How dare he ask them to call you? How dare they think they have any authority to tell you who gets to witness your commitment to another human being? This is your family, but he's not getting that. Uninviting your stepsisters behind your back is not only immature, he seems to have no ability to confront conflict. Inappropriate. He kept you out of a decision. Passive-aggressive red flags everywhere. And frankly, sinister. This is an important milestone in a person's life. An event so steeped in emotion that the memory will be seared into your brain. And the fact he can't understand you'd want to share it with your full family and have that memory of them witnessing and supporting your happiness is deeply concerning behavior. Don't expect your marriage to be any different. He just showed you who he really is, and he doesn't even see part of your family as family. I'm so sorry. It will be messy to cancel, but don't let that stop you. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for going on an expensive vacation and not helping fund my sister's IVF? My 30 male sister, 34 female, has been struggling to conceive with her husband for a few years now. They recently went to a gyno and were told they likely would be unable to without IVF. Obviously, she's upset about it. I don't know their exact financial situation, but she and her husband are both teachers at private schools. But they said their insurance doesn't cover it at all and that they were told it would likely be about $25,000, all in with medication and everything. There was no guarantee of success and it could be $25,000 and no positive result. They asked me and my parents if we could help pitch in, and my parents objected due to it being against their religious beliefs. I'm not religious at all and don't have any ethical objections, but that's just a lot of money with no guarantee. So it seems like a bad idea and I'm just not comfortable with giving that amount to a family member. My wife and I work hard and we don't want to potentially throw money away if it didn't succeed, so we told them no. She was upset, but left it at that at a time when we told her. Well, my wife and I have always wanted to go to Europe, and now that travel is back on, we decided to take a trip together. I don't use social media, but my wife does, and she got excited and posted on her story confirmation of our flights being booked. Well, my sister saw that, and then texted me saying how I was an a-hole for spending all this money on a vacation, but not helping my own sister have a family. At first, I brushed it off as her just being upset at her situation. But then today, I got another mean text from her. Am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole. It's not your job to fund her dreams. It's really bizarre to me that that's not just the sister's first reaction, but that she doubled down on it. Yikes. Like, I already feel uncomfortable involving anyone other than my husband with the process of baby making, even just in the context of conversing about it. Hi, oversharing in-laws. I can't imagine feeling so entitled I'd freaking begrudge a family member their well-earned vacation because I thought I deserved the money that they earned more. So many WTFs here. Not stay home. If they think IVF is expensive, do they have any idea how much parenting costs? You can, however, ask them to consider medical tourism. Plenty of countries where they can get quality treatment for a fraction of a cost, plus holiday. I agree that OP is not the a-hole, but I disagree with your argument. IVF is a huge one-time upfront cost. Raising children is expensive, but those expenses are spread out over time. I don't think it's fair to say if a couple can't afford IVF, they can't afford children, or shouldn't have children. Not the a-hole. Having been through IVF myself, I feel for your sister. She thinks you can help her and are choosing not to, and that must hurt her. That said, your money is your money. She asked for help and you declined. What you do with your money isn't her business. So confronting you more than once already about your trip makes her the a-hole. Not the a-hole. It is not your responsibility to pay for this. As someone who is currently going through IVF though, I do encourage you to read up on it and provide all of the emotional support you possibly can. It is a hellish experience, and she is going to need all the kindness you can possibly give. Also, if their insurance isn't going to cover it, it's likely going to cost way more than $25,000. Probably more like $40,000+. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not helping my partner with our newborn? I know the title sounds bad, but I'm finding myself in a very difficult situation and I'm genuinely not sure if I'm in the wrong here. I, 27 male, am a surgical resident. My partner, 27 female, was a teacher but is currently a stay-at-home mother to our newborn child. We met in college and have been together for just over 7 years now. Last year, she took a pregnancy test after missing her period and found out she was pregnant. We were both happy, but also concerned about taking care of a child. My main concern when we found out was that I could not help out with the child because I work 80 to 100 hours a week. However, we both love each other and did want a family. So in the end, we decided to keep the child, and that she would take time off of work while I was completing my residency and take care of the kid. I would complete my residency, and then after having somewhat more humane hours, would obviously split child caring duties equally with her so that she can also return to work. It's been 3 months since our kid was born now, and things have been rough to say the least. I'm still working nearly 100 hours a week and I'm constantly at the brink of exhaustion. If anything, my workload has increased since then, as I'm now learning how to perform larger operations. My sleep is almost non-existent, and I'm constantly under intense pressure due to my work environment. Things have obviously been rough for her too. The pregnancy and delivery were without complication, but it goes without saying that it was still hugely taxing on her mentally and physically. Recently, my partner has been asking me to take care of our kid when I get home. Initially, I helped her without hesitation, feeling like it was within my capacity and wanting to support her. But in the past few weeks, she's been asking more and more of me. And a few days ago, she demanded I take care of our kid immediately as I walked into the door. I hadn't even had time to take off my shoes yet, and when I said just give me a second, she told me to hurry the heck up. I later learned that she had an incredibly rough day and was just at capacity. But in a moment, I was so caught off guard I yelled at her to back off. I was too exhausted to deal with it then, so I locked myself in the bathroom to take a long shower and calm down. We later talked about what had happened and apologized to each other, but during it, she essentially told me that she felt like I wasn't doing enough to take care of the kid, and that it was our responsibility equally. I told her that I felt like I was already doing more than we agreed on, and that I can literally not do any more than what I'm currently doing. After talking and arguing about this for about 2 hours, we still couldn't come to an agreement and decided to leave the topic for now. So, am I the a-hole for not wanting to take on a larger parenting role during residency? Friends I've talked to seem split on the matter. No a-holes here. This is a case of 2 people drowning and arguing over who has their head up out of the water a few inches more than the other. You have a newborn, are working 100 hours a week, and a wife who is most likely so overwhelmed she can't see straight. Both of you are sleep deprived and not in your right mind. What you need is help. I don't care who said they would do what's before the baby came. It's here now and it's not what either of you expected. It's time to start from scratch and use your limited energy to find solutions to give you both reprieve. This right here. No one in this situation is the a-hole. They're just both exhausted, doing very taxing and demanding jobs/tasks and need help. I know OP said they can't afford help right now, but they both need to figure out something before this tears them apart. No a-holes here. You're both exhausted and pushed to your limits. Snaps like this are going to happen. As long as you apologize afterwards and try to see things from the other point of view and remember you love each other, you'll be fine. Things will get better, but you have to tough it out. Can you hire help? Get family or friends to help out a little. When I was a baby, my mom's best friend took care of me a day or 2 a week, and she's still considered my aunt to this day. Don't know what your support system is, but you seem to need to leverage it a little more. Am I the a-hole for being upset that I'm not involved in my brother's wedding, which I'm paying for? I, female 31, have a brother, male 29, and he's getting married next year. We lost our mom in 2012 and our dad in 2016, and we are each other's only living relatives. I have a good job. I earn a lot of money, £150,000 per year. My brother also has a good job, but doesn't earn anywhere near as much, £35,000. We were raised to always look after each other and share. My partner and I are child-free. Over the years, I have paid my brother's master's degree, paid a down payment on his house. Our parents rented, so there was no family home. I will also be paying for my future sister-in-law, female 26, and my brother to have future rounds of IVF. Sister-in-law works part-time and earns about $50,000 a year. Her parents are not well off. My brother asked if I could contribute to the cost of the wedding. I said I'd pay for it, as it is mall with 100 guests, and set up a wedding account for them into which I put £25,000, which they both have access to. Sister-in-law's entire family are involved as bridesmaids and groomsmen, while my husband and I are just guests. Brother and sister-in-law have been going around venues with her family, and I get emailed the costing if it's selected. I told my brother I don't mind paying for the wedding, but I feel really weird that everyone else is involved in the decision and I'm just involved with paying. Brother has said that I'm not our parents. I can't replace our parents, and that's why I'm not involved. Why can't I just do something nice without making him feel crap? I feel like an a-hole for causing drama, but also feel taken advantage of. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. You are not his parents, but let's face it. You have certainly financially supported him like one in so many different ways. And it doesn't sound like you are trying to control things. Just want to be included the same as sister-in-law's family has been. Now that he is going to be a great big married adult, I think it is time you cut off your support and let him be the independent person he is. You are not the a-hole. He wants to cut you out of even being involved, then he doesn't need your money. He has it right. You're not his parent, so stop acting like it. He's an adult. He can worry about his own finances. I don't think you should even pay for the wedding. If he is behaving like this now, he'll just cut you off and contact again when he needs help. So not worth of your efforts and money. Not the a-hole obviously, but he's a major one. Having made a commitment to pay for the wedding, backing out would be an a-hole move, especially as there was no discussion of what involvement OP would have. To impose retrospective conditions is not fair. However, going forward, OP's sibling is not entitled to anything. I hope OP hasn't actually promised them anything concrete about the IVF. Not the a-hole. You are paying for entirely too much. If they can't afford a wedding on their own, then they can't afford kids. You need to stop being the gravy train. They also need to reduce the cost of the wedding. £25,000? Not the a-hole. You're being taken advantage of. What kind of a relationship do you have? Because this looks like it only comes down to money when talking about your brother. Edit. After reading your replies, the sisters are bridesmaids. The brothers of the bride are groomsmen. You didn't even get an invite to the engagement party? You have paid for so much stuff aside from their wedding. Also pretend to pay for IVF. Let me tell you, if they don't have enough money for IVF, they probably don't have enough to maintain a child. I advise you to please stop paying for their stuff. It's too much. They probably will ask OP for support on a regular basis. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my sister-in-law to my wedding? Backstory. My 26 male older brother Jack, 32 male, was once the golden child of the family. Then when he started dating Jill, 32 female, our mother became weirdly jealous. She would constantly run Jill down behind her back and would always make snarky remarks to her face. To her credit, Jill never retaliated and always remained friendly. When Jack and Jill got married, my mother's behavior towards her worsened, to the point she ruined their wedding day. When Jack announced that they were having a baby, Mom suddenly wanted to be Jill's best friend. This changed again soon as Jill gave birth to my niece. I won't go into detail, but her behavior resulted in Jack and Jill going no contact with her. It has been 3 years since all of this occurred. I still speak to all of them and see my mother regularly. I recently got engaged to my partner Laura, 24 female, and we have been planning our wedding. I've asked Jack to be my best man, and he agreed. Since we will be busy most of the day, his interactions with Mom will be pretty limited. I was feeling confident that our day would be drama-free, until Laura came home from wedding dress shopping looking stressed out. When I asked her what was wrong, and she told me that my mom, who was invited along with her mother and our bridesmaids, made a comment about how she was looking forward to putting Jill in her place at the wedding. Apparently, she then ran Jill down to anyone that would listen and made everyone feel uncomfortable. Understandably, we both became worried that Mom's feud with Jill would ruin our wedding day. So we came to the decision to invite Jill in order to avoid this. When I spoke to Jack about our decision, he got upset and kept repeating that this was his wife, the mother of his child and my sister-in-law that we were excluding for something that wasn't her fault. I repeatedly told him that I think Jill is great and that I don't think she has done anything wrong, but I don't want drama in my wedding day or for her to be put into an uncomfortable situation with our mother. Jack ended up telling me that if Mom can't even last a day without starting drama, then maybe I should be reassessing who needs to be uninvited, and that if his wife couldn't attend, he wouldn't either. I feel like I am stuck behind a rock at a hard place here. I know Jill hasn't done anything wrong, and have never been able to understand why Mom is so rude to her when she has always been nice to Laura. I know that my mom is the one in the wrong with all of this, but she is my mother and want her at my wedding. Just to add, Jill texted me after my conversation with Jack and told me that she understands and not to worry. She would talk to Jack once it calmed down. You're the a-hole. You're punishing the victim and enabling an abuser. Couldn't have said it better myself. You're the a-hole. I mean, it really is that simple. I know it's their wedding and all that, but the my wedding, my rules excuse goes away when it means enabling mistreatment/bullying. There's no other factor weighing in his decision. It's a choice between having his mom and the best man's wife, his sister-in-law, who she bullied at his wedding. Jill isn't the one starting drama. Why would she be punished for it? If anything, uninvite the bully. Opie's choice will communicate to his mom that alienating and bullying Jill with her mean girl tricks is okay and leads to no consequences. Like, take a hard look at the situation. Even the event that leads Opie and his bride to uninvite Jill was caused by his mother, making everyone uncomfortable. She's so nice to Laura. What makes Opie think she won't set her sights on his wife one day? And if she does, what will Opie do? Stand there with his enabling ways while Mommy Dearest bullies Laura? You're the a-hole. Your mother is the root cause of these problems, not Jill. Either confront her like an adult and ask her to act like a mature person, or uninvite her to the wedding. Uninviting Jill absolutely makes you the a-hole. Better yet, uninvite your mom from your life. She sounds like a toxic textbook abuser. Yep, definitely. Jill should be invited because she is your brother's wife and she has done nothing wrong. And this is a good hill for Jack to die on. Your mother is the one that should be uninvited. She's definitely an a-hole. You're the a-hole. Jack is right. You're punishing the victim of bullying and mistreatment and rewarding your mom's terrible behavior. Thank goodness Jill has a husband to stand up for her. Laura obviously does not. Laura better sees this as a red flag in her relationship. Opie's now the golden child and married to his mom. You're the a-hole. While gown shopping for your future bride's dress, your mother announces how she cannot wait to make your wedding all about her issues with your sister-in-law. And your response is to ban your sister-in-law and not your mother? What the heck is wrong with you? She's already taken that joyful, happy occasion and made it about herself. I mean, I'm guessing you have said absolutely nothing to your mom just how out of line that was. They're out looking to buy the dress she says I do in, and your mom decides it's about her and make herself the focus. Dude, you've got to stand up for yourself and your future bride. This isn't your mom's opportunity to shame someone. This is for you and your future bride to share with the people who love and support you. Get your head out of your bottom. Apologize to your brother, your sister-in-law, and especially your bride. Then tell your mother she's no longer invited. Tell her you have hired a couple off-duty police officers to make sure she's unable to gain entry. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my wife to shut the heck up because of the remark she made towards my 16-year-old sister? My male 28 sister, female 16, was diagnosed with cancer in 2021, and treatment has been hard on her. She is the shy type and can be incredibly insecure and lack confidence about her looks. Any remark, no matter how small, would get to her and affect her right away. It's a while since I've seen her, and the other day I was FaceTiming her and my parents to check on her. My wife joined us and sat next to me without taking her eyes off my sister. Note that my wife is a makeup artist and tends to make plenty of assumptions about other women's faces, which isn't a cool thing. But anyway, my wife started talking to my sister about whether or not she started caring for her skin. And my sister said she recently started a clean and clear lotion to improve her look. But my wife chuckled and said that clearly this product isn't working because she, my sister, still looked like a cancer patient even though she's recovered. I was stunned, and so were my parents. My sister immediately got up and left the room. I looked at my wife and told her what she said was messed up, and that she should shut the hell up with her nonsense remarks, because she just insulted and hurt my sister. She started backpedaling, saying she was just giving her opinion, and a fight started. My parents hung up, and my wife flipped out, saying I humiliated her by telling her to STHU in front of my parents, and claimed I had no respect for her to speak to her like that. I told her what she said made my sister cry, knowing that she's been through hell and can be very insecure about her self-image. But my wife argued that she's being too sensitive, and she was again just giving her opinion and giving her advice in terms of skincare. I stormed off, leaving her yelling about what an a-hole I was to speak to her this way and ruin the respect my parents had for her. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Bullying your little sister who suffered through freaking cancer for her looks is divorce material. Was she a high school mean girl or something? Did you find her on a set of a teenage drama movie? The audacity to speak like this to your sister. I cannot stay with that person. Do you plan on having children? Is it makeup about empowerment? Sorry, but this got my blood boiling. I'm ready to call you an a-hole if you do not seriously think that relationship. This. Not the a-hole to OP for standing up for your little sister, but you could be one if you're not considering divorce. Unacceptable behavior, and no apology or feelings of remorse. Agreed. This is divorce-worthy behavior. She's a makeup artist. If she wanted, she could have helped OP's sister with her looks tremendously. But instead of doing right by her sister-in-law, who's previously struggling, she chose to drag her down. It's not just an opinion. If nobody asks for her opinion, said opinion will just be a potentially hurtful remark no one asked for. She knows exactly what she was doing, but flipped out when OP rightfully called her out on it. Note my wife is a makeup artist and tends to make plenty of assumptions about other women's faces, which isn't a cool thing. I'm so glad you noticed that about her, but have you ever confronted her on that? I kept reading and Jesus Christ on a stick. I would have shut the laptop straight away while your wife was still talking. Giving her opinion? Guess what, lady? Not everything that falls from your mouth is straight gold or wanted. Oh my god, I wouldn't know how to be with a person like this. So toxic and oblivious to their own terrible behavior. Not the a-hole. Edit. Came back after I recovered a little. Your wife is a terrible, terrible and small person. She told your baby sister, of 16 years old, a teenager who at that age struggles enough with self-confidence issues, and a cancer survivor on top of that she looks terrible. And after that tries to die on the hill that you ruined and respect of your parents for her? I've spent 2 years working on myself and thought I hung up the pitchforks because I tried to act more mature and composed on the internet. But I'm getting twitchy in my fingers for that pitchfork. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to invite my estranged mother-in-law to my daughter's birthday? When I was dating my now husband, his mom didn't seem to like me and we had a couple issues, which I'd say had to do with her not handling change well, or us just being very different people and struggling to understand each other. But the relationship wasn't awful. When we got engaged, she rolled her eyes and made snarky comments, but she did offer to pay. She had quite a bit of money, so we didn't think anything of it, and accepted. She was kind of rude during wedding planning, but I didn't think much of it. Then she walked out of wedding dress shopping, pulled all her money out of the wedding, and stopped speaking to us. To be clear, nothing happened. She just stood up and walked out. The only minor explanation I got was from her sister, who said she just feels like it is never about her, and she is sick of paying for other people to have things. I didn't get it at all. It wasn't about her and she didn't have to pay. She offered. My husband tried to contact her, but she was adamant that she wanted no contact. He let go, and we didn't see her for 10 years. Then ran into her somewhere and they reconnected. She's married now. He has 2 sisters he's never met, and we have 3 kids she's never met. My husband wanted a relationship with her and mother-in-law was open to it. He met with her a couple times, and she never gave any explanation for ghosting us beyond a relationship wasn't working for her, and she was sick of doing things for other people. But besides paying, which she offered, she never did anything for anyone. I have no respect for her, but I'm fine with my husband wanting a relationship. I had dinner with her and her husband once, and she showed absolutely zero remorse. The issue is my husband invited her to our daughter's birthday without consulting me. He admits he got carried away and never should have done that, but would like her to come and bring her 2 kids. I am not comfortable at all with this. I don't want her to meet my kids. I don't think a birthday party is the appropriate place. If she had shown some remorse, I would feel differently. Not day home. A child birthday is definitely not an appropriate time for the children to meet their relatives. Your husband needs to cancel the invite immediately. Not stay home. People who are sideline observers don't get tickets to the main event. Not stay home. After everything she has done, he let her return into your lives as nothing? No way. I will put a stop there. Your mother-in-law's the a-hole, but your husband is too. These things must be talked between both parts, because marriage means that you are a team. And being 10 years without contact, I don't know. It seems to me that he was in contact with her. I don't find any reason why after 10 years they decided to reconnect just because they ran into one another. Not stay whole. Protect your child from a toxic person. I don't believe they were in contact. I know he tried to contact her a few times and she asked to be left alone. He seemed genuinely shocked when he saw her with her 2 new kids. They just ran into each other and he took the opportunity and mother-in-law was open to it. But to be honest, doesn't seem very affected by any of this. Info. Can you shed any light on why she would reject her child like that? A man who did nothing wrong. It's unfathomable to me. I think she was tired of paying for other people's weddings. She had been paying her parents' bills since she was like 12 or 13. She had paid for 2 weddings before this and never got one of her own. She was lonely and wanted a man, but worked all the time and had no social skills from getting homeschooled. She was homeschooled. She was working. Seeing me, who she never liked happy, set her off. She probably had him too young and felt trapped, but I seemed to be the catalyst that she wouldn't take it anymore.